The morning came with lavender colors, spilling softly through the glass, turning shadows into paintings as another day began to pass. Coffee steam rose toward the ceiling like a slow and drifting cloud, and the room was filled with silence, gentler than the city sound. The chairs were waiting by the tables like old friends prepared to stay, while the piano played a melody to welcome in the day. A newspaper lay forgotten beside a half-finished cup, and the sunlight touched the pages as the world was waking up. There was nowhere I needed to be, nothing calling me away, only music, light, and coffee in the calmness of the day. Lavender mornings and empty cups scattered across the room. Every note the piano whispers feels like flowers coming into bloom. The jazz drifts slow as a river beneath the golden sky above. Lavender mornings and empty cups filled with little pieces of love. Someone smiled across the counter, someone waved before they left, someone sat alone and somehow made the room feel less bereft. The bass kept walking through the harmony like footsteps down a quiet street, and the brushes painted silver circles underneath the gentle beat. Outside, bicycles rolled past slowly, leaves were dancing in the breeze, but inside the cafe's heartbeat moved with effortless ease. The scent of cinnamon and espresso floated softly through the air, wrapping every conversation in a warmth beyond compare. Maybe time slows down on purpose in places built for dreaming hearts, where melodies and memories never really drift apart. Lavender mornings and empty cups scattered across the room. Every note the piano whispers feels like flowers coming into bloom. The jazz drifts slow as a river beneath the golden sky above. Lavender mornings and empty cups filled with little pieces of love. Melted into sunlight like ice dissolving in a glass, and nobody seemed concerned about how quickly time might pass. The room became a living story, told through laughter, notes, and light. Every table held a memory, every window framed the sky. I reflections on the hardwood move along the polished floor, like they had their own direction towards somewhere worth searching for. And the music kept unfolding like a road without an end, a quiet conversation between strangers and old friends. Maybe all the things that matter cannot ever be defined. Maybe they exist in moments that we carry in our minds. I used to think that happiness was waiting somewhere far away, beyond the trains and crowded highways, beyond another busy day. But now I find it in the stillness of a simple melody, in the warmth of shared existence, and a fresh brewed cup of coffee, in the sunlight on the tabletops, in the rhythm of the rain, in a song that softly lingers long after the final refrain. Lavender mornings and empty cups scattered across the room. Every note the piano whispers feels like flowers coming into bloom. The jazz drifts slow as a river beneath the golden sky above. Lavender mornings and empty cups filled with little pieces of love. Lavender mornings and empty cups. Stay a little longer now. Leave your glow upon the window. Leave your warmth upon my soul. Every chord becomes a memory, every smile a work of art. Lavender mornings and empty cups leave their echoes in my heart. The morning came with lavender colors. The morning arrives without a hurry, like a letter drifting through the breeze. Sunlight settles on the empty tables and dances softly with the falling leaves. The cafe opens to a brand new story. The scent of coffee fills the air, while quiet melodies from the piano float gently everywhere. A barista hums a familiar rhythm as cups are lined along the shelf, and for a little while the world seems content, just being itself. The city stretches far beyond the window, but it feels so distant from this place. Here the hours move a little slower, and every moment carries grace. No alarms, no deadlines waiting, no reason left to run, just the warmth of music playing and the promise of the sun. This is a song for slow mornings, for coffee cups and golden light. This is a song for quiet moments, for hearts learning to unwind, where the piano paints emotions across the corners of the mind. Someone reads a book near the window, turning pages one by one. Someone watches little shadows moving slowly with the sun. Someone writes a note to somebody they haven't seen for years, while the melody keeps flowing through memories and tears. The bass walks softly through the harmony like footsteps through a dream, and the guitar adds gentle colors to the sunlight's golden beam. Even silence sounds like music in a room like this somehow, where every little detail matters more than tomorrow does right now. Maybe peace is not a destination, maybe it was always here, hidden in the sound of laughter and the music we can hear. This is a song for slow mornings, for coffee cups and golden light, for melodies that stay beside you long after saying goodnight. This is a song for quiet moments, for hearts learning to unwind, where the piano paints emotions across the corners of the mind. The morning slowly turns to midday, yet nobody seems aware. The room remains wrapped in a feeling too beautiful to compare. Outside, people chase ambitions down avenues and crowded roads, but here the music carries burdens and gently lightens every load. A couple laughs beside the counter, an old friend waves before he leaves, and somehow all these passing moments feel more precious than they seem. The sunlight now rests on the floorboards like a painting made of gold, and every chord the piano whispers feels timeless and untold. Life is often made of fragments, tiny pieces of a day, yet these are the ones we remember long after they've slipped away. I used to think that happiness was hidden somewhere far ahead, beyond the trains and crowded stations, beyond the paths I hadn't tread. But now I find it in the stillness, in the warmth of coffee steam, in the sound of jazz unfolding like a half-forgotten dream, in the glow upon the tabletops, in the kindness of a smile, in a melody that softly says you can stay a little while. This is a song for slow mornings, for coffee cups and golden light, for melodies that stay beside you long after saying goodnight. This is a song for quiet moments, for hearts learning to unwind, where the piano paints emotions across the corners of the mind. This is a song for new sunrise. This is a song for slow mornings and the beauty passing by. There's a little cafe on Willow Lane where the mornings always seem to stay. Sunlight gathers on the wooden tables and slowly chases all the clouds away. The smell of coffee fills the silence like an old familiar melody, and every corner of the room is glowing with a quiet kind of harmony. The barista smiles and greets the regulars like old friends returning home again, while the piano near the window starts to softly play a gentle refrain. Outside, the city starts awakening. Cars and bicycles begin to move, but inside these walls the world feels lighter, swaying to a slower groove. And I don't know where the hours go when the music fills the air. Maybe time forgets to move in places made of comfort, light and care. In the little cafe on Willow Lane, every note shines warm and bright. Coffee cups and conversations drifting softly through the light. The piano sings a simple story, and the guitar gently follows through. In the little cafe on Willow Lane, every morning feels brand new. Inside her journal by the window facing east, a young man reads a worn-out novel while enjoying his morning feast. Someone waits for an old companion, someone dreams about a distant sea. Someone hums along with the piano without realizing the melody. The bass keeps walking through the harmony like footsteps down a peaceful road, and the brushes paint the rhythm with a touch both warm and old. Steam rises from ceramic coffee cups like tiny clouds that slowly disappear, and every laugh becomes a memory that somehow feels so sincere. Maybe happiness is hidden in the smallest things we find: a quiet room, a favorite song, and a peaceful state of mind. In the little cafe on Willow Lane, every note shines warm and bright. Coffee cups and conversations drifting softly through the light. The piano sings a simple story, and the guitar gently follows through. In the little cafe on Willow Lane, every morning feels brand new. The sunlight slowly climbs the walls, touching arranging photographs and shelves. And for a little while it feels like nobody needs to be anywhere else. The sound of turning pages mingles with the clinking of porcelain, creating its own kind of rhythm that settles softly deep within. Outside people rush toward tomorrow, chasing dreams they cannot see. But inside this little cafe, life unfolds so naturally. There's no need for grand adventures or stories meant to impress. Sometimes beauty lives in moments wrapped in quiet tenderness. And the music keeps reminding me of things I often leave behind. How peace can live inside a morning when the heart is unconfined. In the little cafe on Willow Lane, every note shines warm and bright. Coffee cups and conversations drifting softly through the light. The piano sings a simple story, and the guitar gently follows through. In the little cafe on Willow Lane, every morning feels brand new. Maybe all the world's great wonders are not as far as people say. Maybe they exist in moments that quietly arrive each day. In the scent of fresh espresso, in a beam of golden sun, in a melody that lingers long after the song is done. Maybe joy is not a destination waiting somewhere down the road. Maybe it is simply learning how to lighten up the load. And the little cafe on Willow Lane seems to understand somehow how to make a fleeting moment feel eternal in the now. In the little cafe on Willow Lane, every note shines warm and bright. Coffee cups and conversations drifting softly through the light. The piano sings a simple story, and the guitar gently follows through. In the little cafe on Willow Lane, every morning feels brand new. There's a little cafe on Willow Lane. I found a table by the window just as morning touched the sky. Golden colors filled the cafe, while the world was passing by. Coffee rising in soft spirals, like a dream above my cup. And the quiet piano playing made me want to linger more. People entering with stories, carried gently through the door. Every face a little chapter, waiting to become much more. The city slowly starts its rhythm, Cars and footsteps far away, but inside this cozy corner, time forgets to run today. At a table by the window where the sunlight likes to stay, jazz and coffee weave together like the start of a perfect day. Every note becomes a heartbeat, every chord begins to glow, and the morning keeps on dancing to the rhythm, soft and slow. Someone laughs beside the counter. Someone quietly reads alone. Someone writes a page of memories in a weathered leather journal. The bass is walking through the silence like a friend who knows the way, and the brushes paint the rhythm in a soft and silver gray. Every melody keeps floating through the scent of roasted beans, turning ordinary moments into something evergreen. The music wraps around the room like a scarf against the cold. Every little passing second feels more precious than pure gold. At a table by the window where the sunlight likes to stay, jazz and coffee weave together like the start of a perfect day. Every note becomes a heartbeat, every chord begins to glow, and the morning keeps on dancing to the rhythm, soft and slow. Hours move like drifting feathers, floating slowly through the light. No one seems to be in a hurry, everything just feels alright. Outside people chase tomorrow, trying hard to move ahead, but the music here reminds me life is happening instead. In the clinking cups and laughter, in the sunlight on the floor, there are countless little wonders hidden in the everyday more. Maybe joy is not a destination waiting somewhere far away. Maybe joy is simply present in this warm and gentle place. There's a beauty in the stillness, there's a peace in taking time, like a favorite old melody or a perfectly simple rhyme. Let the morning keep unfolding, let the music softly play. For a little longer, let me stay inside this perfect day. At a table by the window where the sunlight likes to stay, jazz and coffee weave together like the start of a perfect day. Every note becomes a heartbeat, every chord begins to glow, and the more hue. Sunlight spills across the cafe, painting everything anew. Coffee cups line up like memories, waiting patiently in rows, while the scent of roasted sweetness through the quiet room still flows. There's an old clock near the counter, ticking softly in the air, but nobody seems to notice, no one really seems to care. The piano plays a gentle answer to the daylight shining through, and the melody keeps floating like the sky beyond the blue. The world outside keeps moving faster, chasing places yet unknown, but inside this little cafe, every heart can rest a while. Morning melody and coffee skies fill the air with shades of gold. Every note becomes a daydream, every story gets retold. The piano sings beside the window while the sunlight slowly grows. Morning melody and coffee skies move as softly as the flow. Someone's reading by the doorway, lost inside a favorite page. Someone's writing down reflections like an artist on a stage. Someone waits for conversation, someone waits for love to start. Someone simply sits in silence, listening closely to their heart. The bass keeps walking through the harmony, like footsteps down a quiet lane, and the brushes paint soft patterns like the rhythm of the rain. Every table holds a moment, every chair a passing scene, like 1,000 tiny stories living in the in-between. A picture made of music, light and steam, like a place that only exists somewhere deep inside a dream. Morning melody and coffee skies fill the air with shades of gold. Every note becomes a daydream, every story gets retold. The piano sings beside the window while the sunlight slowly grows. Morning melody and coffee skies move as softly as the flow. Drift like autumn feathers, floating slowly through the day, and before I even notice, half the morning slips away. Outside engines hum like thunder, people hurry down the street, but the music here reminds me life can still be soft and sweet. There is beauty and simplicity in a cup held with two hands, in a quiet conversation no comfort in the stillness that the melody creates, like a warm, familiar shelter waiting just beyond the gates. Maybe joy is not a treasure hidden somewhere far away. Maybe joy is in the moments that we almost miss each day. When the sunlight starts to wander and the shadows stretch and bend, the music keeps on whispering like a trusted lifelong friend. Every chord becomes a memory, every rhythm leaves a trace, every melody keeps living long after it leaves this place. Maybe all the things that matter cannot really be possessed. They're the moments that arrive when the heart is fully at rest. Morning melody and coffee skies fill the air with shades of gold. Every note becomes a daydream, every story gets retold. The piano sings beside the window while the sunlight slowly grows. Morning melody and coffee skies move as softly as the flow. Morning melody and coffee skies, stay with me a little more, like reflections on the hardwood or footprints on the cafe floor. Every chord becomes a treasure, every smile a work of art. Morning melody and coffee skies leave their echoes in my heart. Coffee skies in the morning light. Let the melody remain. Morning whispers through the window, painting shadows on the floor. A fresh aroma fills the silence, like I've never felt before. People passing in a daydream, moving gently down the street, while the city slowly opens to a rhythm soft and sweet. Every moment feels so weightless, floating lightly with the breeze. And the music in this corner brings a quiet sense of ease. A soft piano fills the cafe, notes like sunlight on the wall. Every melody keeps drifting, like a feather as it falls. Coffee warming by the window, while the morning starts to glow. Wrapped inside these gentle moments, in a mellow amber flow. Someone's reading by the counter, someone smiles keeps softly dancing with the brushes and the bass. Every chord becomes a memory, every note a warm embrace. Time is moving just a little slower than it usually goes, and the calm inside this cafe feels like something heaven knows. A soft piano fills the cafe, notes like sunlight on the wall. Every melody keeps drifting like a feather as it falls. Coffee warming by the window while the morning starts to glow. Wrapped inside these gentle moments in a mellow amber flow. Hours passing like a river, smooth and easy as a song. Every little conversation seems to carry me along. Outside traffic keeps on moving, but it feels so far away. In this cozy little corner, I could gladly choose to stay. Maybe happiness is simple, maybe peace is found right here, in the scent of fresh roast coffee and the music in my ear. No grand answers, no distractions, just a moment made of gold, like a photograph of sunlight that the heart can always hold. A soft piano fills the cafe, bringing warmth to every chair. Every chord becomes a painting, floating softly through the air. Coffee cooling by the window as the day begins to grow. Still, I'm lost inside the feeling of that mellow amber glow. A soft piano fills the cafe, and the world keeps turning slow, leaving traces of its magic in a mellow amber glow. Morning coffee, amber glow. Amber glow. Morning settles on the city like a blanket made of gold. Sunlight resting on the window as the air begins to glow. Coffee steaming on the table, sending comfort through the room. Every corner feels is waking slowly. Traffic starts to find its way, but inside this little cafe, time decides to drift and stay. Where the morning lingers softly and the jazz flows like a stream. Every note becomes a memory, every chord becomes a dream. Coffee, sunlight, quiet laughter, floating gently through the air. In this little corner of the world, there's a kind of magic here. Someone's writing letters slowly, someone's reading by the wall. Someone waits beside the window, watching shadows rise and fall. The bass walks underneath the rhythm like footsteps down a peaceful lane. And the brushes on the snare drum sound like whispers after rain. The smell of roasted beans surrounds me, warm and rich and sweet and deep, while the piano keeps on dancing with a promise it can keep. Every conversation mingles with the music soft and low, like a painting made of sunlight in a mellow amber glow. Where the morning lingers softly and the jazz flows like a stream. Every note becomes a memory, every chord becomes a dream. Coffee, sunlight, quiet laughter, floating gently through the air. In this little corner of the world, there's a kind of magic here. Without a warning, yet they seem to move so slow, like a feather on a river, following wherever it goes. Outside, people chase their schedules, rushing through another day. But the music in this cafe makes those worries fade away. Little moments become treasures, little smiles become a song. And somehow inside this feeling, I know exactly where I belong. Maybe happiness is hidden in the smallest things we find. A warm cup resting in our hands and a peaceful state of mind. Where the morning lingers softly and the jazz flows like a stream. Every note becomes a memory, every chord becomes a dream. Coffee, sunlight, quiet laughter, floating gently through the air. In this little corner of the world, there's a kind of magic here. Maybe life is not about all the places left to see. Maybe it is found in moments that arrive so naturally. In the scent of fresh espresso, in the warmth of morning light, in a melody that's playing, everything just feels alright. moving soft and moving slow, where the morning lingers softly and the jazz flows like a stream. Every note becomes a memory, every chord becomes a dream. Coffee, sunlight, quiet laughter, floating gently through the air. In this little corner of the world, there's a kind of magic here, where the morning lingers softly as the day begins to rise. Every melody reminds me of the beauty in simple lives. Coffee, sunlight, quiet laughter, and the music drifting near. I could stay inside this moment and remain forever here. Morning light and melodies, flowing endlessly. Morning arrives without a warning. Through the glass and onto the floor, painting little golden stories across the old cafe decor. Coffee steams beside the window, curling slowly through the light, like a secret drifting upward in the quiet of the morning bright. Someone hums a distant melody near the counter by the door, and the piano starts to answer, like it's heard that tune before. Everything feels soft and easy, nothing rushing, nothing fast, just a room of little moments, making simple memories last. Coffee stains and daydreams linger on the pages of my mind. Every note the piano whispers leaves a little spark behind. Sunlight dancing on the tabletops, warm reflections softly glow, and the rhythm of the morning moves as gentle as it flows. Someone's reading old love letters, someone's sketching in a book, someone smiles into their coffee with a thoughtful, distant look. The bass keeps walking through the harmony like footsteps down a peaceful street, while the brushes paint the silence with a rhythm calm and sweet. Outside, buses pass unnoticed, clouds drift slowly overhead. But the music in this cafe pulls me somewhere else. becomes a little lighter, like a feather in the breeze, and the melody keeps floating with effortless grace and ease. Coffee stains and daydreams linger on the pages of my mind. Every note the piano whispers leaves a little spark behind. Sunlight dancing on the tabletops, warm reflections softly glow, and the rhythm of the morning moves as gentle as it flows. Watercolor paintings, blending softly into one. And before I even notice, half the morning's come and gone. Still the room feels full of wonder, in the smallest little things, in the clinking cups and laughter, and the comfort music brings. Every face becomes a story, every voice a passing song, and for just a little moment I forget where I belong. Maybe life is made of fragments, tiny pieces of a day, yet together they become the memories that always stay. I don't need a grand adventure or 1,000 places new. There's a beauty in the ordinary that keeps quietly shining through. In a cup of fresh espresso, in the glow of morning skies, in a melody unfolding like the sunrise in my eyes. Maybe happiness is hidden in the places we ignore, like a favorite neighborhood cafe we've walked by 100 times before. Coffee stains and daydreams, floating through the light. The morning slowly disappears, but the melody remains, like sunshine on an empty table, or soft circles left by coffee stains. Coffee stains. Morning arrives without a warning. Through the glass and onto the floor, painting little golden stories across the old cafe decor. Coffee steams beside the window. Slips through open curtains, like a painting made of gold, landing softly on on the tabletops, and stories waiting to be told. Coffee cups are lined like little treasures along the polished wooden bar, while sleepy conversations wander like echoes traveling from afar. The piano starts a quiet melody that dances through the room, and every note feels warm and weightless, like flowers learning how to bloom. A newspaper rests beside the window, unread upon a chair, as sunlight slowly fills the spaces with a tenderness so rare. Outside, the city keeps on turning, chasing places left to go. But inside this tiny cafe, everything moves soft and slow. Between coffee and sunshine, there's a place my heart can stay, where the jazz floats like a feather and the worries fade away. Every note becomes a memory, every chord begins to shine. Life feels a little sweeter between coffee and sunshine. Someone smiles across the counter, someone waves before they leave, someone sits and watches raindrops on the flowers by the street. The bass keeps walking through the harmony like footsteps down a country road, and the brushes paint the silence with a calm and steady flow. Fresh croissants cool beside the kitchen, their aroma fills the air, mixing with the sound of laughter and the music everywhere. Even strangers seem connected for a little while somehow, sharing space beneath the melody and the sunlight shining down. Time becomes a softer language spoken only in this room, where the coffee never rushes and the melodies still bloom. Between coffee and sunshine, there's a place my heart can stay, where the jazz floats like a feather and the worries fade away. Every note becomes a memory, every chord begins to shine. Life feels a little sweeter between coffee and sunshine. Drift like tiny sailboats across a quiet golden sea, and the room becomes a postcard from the life I wanna keep. Outside, traffic lights are changing, people hurry down the street, but the rhythm in this cafe makes the rushing feeling complete. There are moments that arrive so gently, you almost let them pass, like reflections in a coffee cup or sunlight through the glass. Yet somehow they become the memories that stay the longest in the end, like a favorite melody returning, or the voice of an old friend. Maybe happiness is hidden in beautiful things were waiting somewhere far away, beyond the cities and the highways, beyond another crowded day. But now I find them in the stillness of a simple cafe song, in the glow of morning sunlight, and a place where I belong. Every chord feels like a photograph, every rhythm feels like home, and for a little while the world feels kinder than I've ever known. Between coffee and sunshine, there's a place my heart can stay, where the jazz floats like a feather and the worries fade away. Every note becomes a memory, every chord begins to shine. Life feels a little sweeter between coffee and sunshine. Between coffee and sunshine, morning lingers in the air, like a dream that doesn't vanish, like a song beyond compare. Every smile becomes a treasure, every second feels divine. Life feels a little brighter between coffee and sunshine. Between coffee and sunshine. The morning slips through open curtains, like a painting made